Hello and welcome. Let me turn some light on the subject here. Thank you guys for joining us. It's so glad to have you on our um, Lightworker Secret to Success YouTube channel. We totally believe this is your first time here. That it's not by accident. Everybody finds us when it's the right time for them. So we're glad you joined us. Hope that you'll take a moment to like our and subscribe to our channel. And if you hit the little notification bell that's right down there, you'll know when we're going live. So today our topic is about how to create your avatar. And when we're talking about that, we're talking about creating it in what is that person you want to be. So if you're manifesting your future, what do you want to be? What's that person? What's it? As a friend of ours says, what are you being? Right? And so because if you step out of what you're who you are right now, because that's a limitation. I went through a course a while back, and they said if you're creating your life the way you want it, then why do you have limitations? So what we're looking at is if you create your avatar, there's not going to be any limitations. So what do you want that avatar to have? What's it lifestyle? What are the things? And so that's kind of where we're at right now. And the possibilities are endless. There's no limitations. You get to choose. So we're just going to kind of talk about how each of us go about that. So, Rebecca, do you want to start us off?
Sure. Yeah, I think it's a great topic because as a life coach and a metaphysical teacher, I think a lot about this topic of how to become more of who you want to be rather than what you're experiencing in the 3D world. Because I do realize that the more you put your attention on a better version of yourself, and we can always improve in some direction, the more we do that, the more we start to become authentic, connected, powerful. And something I work on a lot is, it was easy when I was flying around talking to passengers on airplanes because I was more in control. And of course, they wouldn't argue with me or fight with me too much because it wasn't appropriate when you're on an airplane, even though they do that a lot today. I'm not there anymore. But now that I'm living on the ground, and I have been for quite a few years, I find that I have to really work to restrain myself sometimes from saying things that are reactive to people who are being unpleasant or rude or having a bad day. And I try to constantly think to myself, how do I want to appear, project, um, interact in this situation without causing more of a chaotic situation? So I'm always working on being calm, being above it all, be as far as knowing that the outcome should always be good. And I'm finding that the more I do that, whatever situations I'm dealing with, be it family members or business associates that I'm trying to work with, it becomes more harmonious. If I see myself as someone who doesn't react to everything that comes down my path that I don't like. Um, because when I really look at the big picture, it just is what it is. I'm reading a really good book right now called Transurfing. It was written by a Russian. And he talks about this a lot in the book, how you once you get control of yourself, you begin to understand that the way you respond to your experiences in life have a big effect on your inner peace and the way things turn out. So I am constantly working on becoming a better metaphysical teacher, able to get my message across to people that you don't have to be stuck in the 3D world. There is a whole universe of mind, thought, spirituality that can be open to you if you can just get rid of fear, for one thing. And I'm always trying to think of ways that I can get that across to people that they don't have to be afraid, because fear is nothing but what we make up in our own thoughts. there's really nothing to be afraid of when you get right down to it. So my avatar is this woman who is the better version of myself. She loves to do online courses. She loves to do YouTube videos. She loves to meet people. She loves to have a lot of human connections. And in the course of doing that, she likes to try to be helpful rather than a downer. Because, you know, there are some people, whenever you mention something to them, they automatically go the negative. I know some people like that. That's not a good place to be. So when you start to observe yourself and become more conscious of how you want to be, then you can uplift people. So I'm always working on that, finding ways to be more helpful and uplifting when I'm around other humans. And I'm even toying with the fact, the idea of just telling them, you know what, if you're really stuck, call me up, we'll have a conversation, and maybe I can get you unstuck. So that's my new avatar.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice.
Very cool. How about you, Adam?
I mean, you know, when we were talking about this right beforehand, I mean, I've never really pictured it like that, where maybe I pictured it more like a different version of myself in an alternate universe, in a parallel universe, is maybe how I viewed it more, or how I kind of see it. Now I see what you're saying on how to, how to get yourself into that sort of energy, because that's really what it is. And I know when I lucid dreamed quite a bit, the lucid dreaming, I really feel like I'm getting sucked right out of my body, like my consciousness is coming out. And there's time when my lucid body wants to wake up, but my other part is like, no, we're going to keep going a little bit more. And so I kind of get the feeling of that. And, you know, when we talk about Avatar, I really think about the movie Avatar, where, you know, they figured out in the future how to take your consciousness from, you know, one living body and put it into another living body that they grow over a period of time. And, you know, you can use your consciousness like that. Well, I think that movie is really like how we are, and we're able to do that if we want, and if we can visualize ourselves as someone completely different, or someone who we want to be. And I know they've been doing a lot of experimental drug treatments with angel dust, that was really popular in the 60s and 70s. But obviously a lot of people OD'd over it, but just giving enough where it enters a certain part of the brain, and they've been experimenting with it. When they get the mixture just right, you're able to hit that higher level of consciousness and really transform on yourself, on who you want to be, without the restrictions. And I think the restrictions too come a lot from ourselves, that we put on ourselves, due to, you know, past experiences, or whatever it is that has caused us to second guess something that we know is right. And even though our gut's telling us, our head is saying, are you sure about this? And then you start to second guess yourself. So I think if you can, you know, somehow just create this persona of and I don't want to say perfect, but ideal person who you would like to be, and the things that you would like to be doing, and getting the results in the areas that you would like to get results in. I mean, for me, I often view myself as, where, you know, I have all these great ideas in my head, and like one of them is like being romantic with my wife, is I have like this idea of how I want to be, but when it comes down to it, I just don't do it. Like, we don't go out on dates nearly enough. Now I know we're in COVID-19 and we don't, or, you know, I don't, you know, surprise take her somewhere and just kind of make it this sort of random spur of the moment type of thing. And although I'm thinking about it, I just don't do it. And so I always get that something's holding me back from doing that, and I don't even know why that happens. So I think if you can create this person, and maybe the best thing to do, and I was just thinking about this, it just came to me, you know, in the movie The Secret, they talk about creating your perfect partner and writing it down on all the characteristics that you would like to have in that person, and then make sure your actions are dictating what you're actually saying on that piece of paper. And that's actually how I found my wife, is that, you know, I was in a toxic relationship that really wasn't serving me. And I listened to that, and I actually just did the exercise, and I wasn't sure what was going to happen. And once I realized what was going, you know, when I wrote it all down of this is the qualities that I would like, the person who I was with at the time hardly fit any of them. And then I had to, you know, end that relationship as soon as I could. It wasn't easy. There's lots of stuff that, you know, was there to make it difficult to end it. But when I finally did end it, you know, I found my wife, and we started dating, and everything's been good. I mean, like we were just saying the other day, being locked up in COVID-19, think about this people that, you know, I think one thing that COVID-19 really does is it exposes relationships that are toxic to you. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I mean, obviously you would have to determine that. But I just think about how many people, you know, probably went through a lot of misery during COVID-19 because they were locked up together, and they probably ended their relationships or their marriage that, you know, wasn't really serving them at all anymore. And again, I don't know if it's good or bad, you know, you can look at it on either way, but, you know, bottom line is, you know, by creating that avatar of either the person who you would like to be with and be around, or the people you'd like to be around, and how you would like to be showing up on a day-to-day basis, you know, that's the kind of person. And can you answer that question? How would I like to be showing up differently on a day-to-day basis? What would I like to be doing? How would I like to be? You know, what kind of person, what kind of self-confidence would I have? You know, could I close, you know, more deals, or could I be better at sports? Or, you know, and I was just thinking, even the sports thing is, you know, there's a famous, or well, not a famous, but there's a really good way of called, I don't even know what it's called, but it's like a golf analogy. So if you're a golfer, I mean, this makes sense to you. When you go to the golf course and you play the same course over and over and over again, if you constantly just kept all your scorecards together at the end of the year, at the end of that season, and you saw your best scores for each of the holes, doesn't matter when it was, but if you saw them and you added them all up, what would be your total score? And, you know, if it's like in the 70s or in the 60s, well, that's your potential, right? It's the same thing with the avatar. If you're able to see yourself and almost take yourself out and look down at a 100,000-foot view, how would you be looking? Are you living up to your potential of how you view yourself? You know, how are you, you know, how's that looking like? Like, what are all those things, like, specifically that you think you're underachieving on, that you would like to start to achieve on and get the results that you're looking for, and be the type of person you are, and be the type of, I don't know. So I don't know, I'm kind of rambling a little bit, but that's just what I was thinking.
I think that's awesome, though, Adam. It reminded me of a couple of things. One, of course, I just recently finished taking. The gentleman talked about how when you get an idea, an inspiration, it's in your spiritual realm. And then when we try to move it from our spiritual realm into the physical realm is when a lot of times that breakdown happens for us, right? Which, so you're talking about. But the other thing it reminded me of, we all have a mutual person we know whose wife, when she decided she wanted to have somebody and how she wanted to be treated, so she was basically creating her avatar. She started taking herself out to these restaurants and treating herself the way she wanted to be treated by her potential mate, right? And so that's what she, in essence, that's what she did. She created, okay, what does my avatar look like? Well, what does my avatar do? Where are they going? What are they doing? You know, how are they living? How are they being, right? And they did that. And so I think in a lot of ways of what you're talking about, it's the same kind of thing. You know, when you look at what areas do you want to be showing up in, and then how would you show up, and then just, you know, visioning that. That's great. How about you, Miss Colette? how would you like to share with us today?
Yeah, hey guys. So there's a lot of fun ways that you can play with this because you can go like as far out into the future as you'd like, or as close as you can. So you can go out 50 years and say like, okay, in 50 years, like what do I want to feel? Like when I look back on my life and think about what I've created, what does that look like? And so feeling into that. Or you can go a year into the future, 5 years into the future, or 6 months or a week, so that like that's the fun thing is you can go as soon or as far out as you'd like to kind of play with this. And that's all this is. It's like a fun thing to play with, to see like what it feels like when you're really feeling good. Because I think that's really like we're all like asking to like have fun and joy and ease and love and abundance. And so really feeling into what that looks like for you, because that looks different for every single person. And so really getting clear on, okay, well, what does that look like for me? And so it's funny, when Adam was talking, I did the same thing when I was single. I felt into the avatar of me that was married. And so I even went as far as to wear a wedding ring. And when I was driving, I would think about like, oh, it was so nice to wake up to my husband this morning. It was so nice. Oh, like when I would wake up in my bed in the morning and there was no one next to me, I would think like, oh, it's so nice. My love is in the kitchen, making breakfast, or like, oh, my love's at work. And so it like, but I really felt like I was already with this person, and I met him within like a month. Like it was super, super quick. Once I started actually like living in that avatar of, okay, I'm already married. So it's amazing how fast these things can work. And it's really important that your vibration is high and clear and that you're following the energy, because I noticed, working with people, one thing that happens is they start to create this and they meet someone and the person doesn't necessarily match the energy, but because the person came into their life, they're like, oh, this must be my person, but that's not always the case. And so that's one thing I just want to kind of little caveat to just be aware of, that just because something comes to you when you're like in your avatar and you're creating and you're in that like actualization manifestation state, doesn't mean that's the answer. So just a little warning, because I've definitely seen that where people meet someone and like, oh, I've been manifesting and now my soulmate came, and they go blind to all the things that are not okay with that person. I got lucky because I was super clear on how I wanted to feel. And my love is completely different than like pretty much anyone else I've ever dated. And so it's really interesting. So, but yeah, so it's like really interesting to like really get clear on who you are when you're feeling your best and when you are happiest. And maybe that's never happened, because for some people, like I've met people that they can't remember when they were ever happy. So first, if that's you, this might be like really challenging to think about, oh my gosh, I don't know. Like, I don't even know. I don't know what it's like to be happy. I can't remember the last time I was happy. Maybe it was when you were a little kid and you've just all put yourself aside. You've made everyone else happy. You did the right things. So for somebody, like if that's you, then it's going to take some practice. It's really going to take some practice of trying things and really sitting with yourself as you're trying things to say, okay, yeah, this actually, like, I feel really good when I'm doing this. And maybe something else doesn't feel really good. Even if somebody else is like, this is the best thing ever and I'm having so much fun. And then you do it and you're like, I don't know. I'm not having fun here, but I'm going to keep trying because everyone else says this is fun. Like, listen to what's fun for you, like just because horseback riding is great for Mary down the street and she thinks it's the best thing ever doesn't mean like you should go buy a horse, right? And so, yeah, like practicing playing with things, creating art, creating businesses, creating relationships with people, Like, who do you feel the best around? Maybe all of your friends, you feel crappy when you're with them. And you don't really pay attention to that because it's normal. You just think it's normal to be around people that criticize you and make you feel crappy. And so when you're playing with this avatar, if it is challenging for you, then, you know, maybe the first step is to just try things, meet new people, go to places where you know people are going to be more supportive, join a mastermind group, you know, find, like, I have amazing people in my life now, but it wasn't always the case. So yeah, have some fun with this, play around with this, and really feel into like the people that light you up, the things that you do that light you up. And yeah, like Pamela was saying, with no limitations, what would you create? So
That is so cool. When you were talking, Colette, reminded me of a movie that came out in 2000 called The Kid. It had oh, what's his name? I can't remember. Bruce Willis in it as the adult, and he wakes up one morning and there's this little kid, like a 10-year-old or something, and it's his younger self. And then at another point in the movie, it's the little kid and him, and then the future self. And it's so amazing because the little kid and him, it's like, we are going to get, it is going to be okay. We are going to, you know, and that's the kind of, when you were talking about doing the 50 years out, you know, looking at what's that person's life going to be like. Because I think sometimes when we're trying to manifest things, that's it, we're trying. Instead of just saying, okay, this is, we're not claiming. And where I think with to me, it's like that understanding that if we're looking at our avatar, what's that avatar's like? What's it have? How's it being? What's it doing? Then there's no trying for that. You know, we're just putting it out there. This is it, right? And I think that's the biggest thing when we're manifesting. Sometimes we try too hard. What were you gonna say, Adam?
I was also going to say, Colette, you said that, you know, you're lucky. And for me, lucky is an acronym that stands for living under correct knowledge. Right? So when everyone says they're lucky, it's because they're living under correct knowledge.
Yeah. Just think of the potential that we all have. And so our encouragement for everybody who's watching this or who finds this later on is to do that exercise. Let your imagination flow. And what is that avatar going to be like for you? Right? If there's no wrong answers here, because you're creating your avatar. Do you want to say something, Rebecca? Do you have any last words for?
Yeah, and I'll tell you something else. You know, sometimes it's very hard to get yourself unstuck. Like Colette was saying, you may not even be able to picture yourself being happy. That's why you should really consider hiring a coach. That's what coaches do. And, you know, I've hired coaches in my life that have gotten me unstuck. And it makes it a lot easier. So don't put off your happiness and creating your next best version of yourself, because it's fantastic when you have those breakthroughs and you realize you can truly be happy, be free, do what you love, find your purpose. It's all there for you.
Right? So true. Anybody else have last words of advice or encouragement? No? Well, thank you guys for being here. Colette, welcome back. Seems like it's been forever since you were able to join us, so we're so glad you're back.
Thank you. I know, I missed you guys. I was in Puerto Vallarta.
Yeah, having fun. So we're glad you're back safe. And again, if you're watching us for the first time, please subscribe to our channel. If you like this video, please go ahead and give us a thumbs up, share it with friends, family, your circle, and hit that little notification bell down there so when we go live like we used to do on Mondays and a lot of times on Fridays, that you'll get the notification so you don't miss us. Again, thank you, and we're so glad that you all could be here. Have a great week.